take the touch,
Makes sense.
hold the man off, and then play the pass.
Yeah, so you were a football coach before. Where were you doing that, in England or?
Yeah, in England. I coached a team called Ponteland,
Yeah.
under 16s, and yeah, we try to encourage like possession-based football, progressive football, not just lumping it long for a striker and running onto it. Like, yeah, it was very much a lot of our sessions were possession-based football. How to keep the ball under pressure.
Right.
Yeah. How to play, passing move, things like that.
When do you think English football started changing towards a more Spanish, Mediterranean, South American style? When do you think that happened?
The shift probably maybe about 10 to 8 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's when they did a lot more focus on the academies, grassroots football, like how are we teaching our kids to play. The focus started going there rather than just at the top of the game, which it was always more just focused on academy football and the Premier League, not so much grassroots. So the focus of the FA then turned towards grassroots football.
Yeah.
How are the Spanish doing it? How are the Germans doing it? Why are they more successful than we are?
Right.
So when you're receiving the ball as a striker, it's very important to use your arm. So here you can't get the ball. And if you try, you try and step, and that's what happens. So I'm reading you as much as you're reading me, especially as a striker. That makes sense. So I could be rolling it this way. That big guy the other day is very good at it. He'll roll it this way. Using your body weight on me like that, so you can protect it.
Right. Yeah. So obviously when we were growing up, coaches always kind of scolded players for expressing themselves, holding onto the ball. They didn't let kids take any risks, even from like 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
When do you think like English football or the FA or whoever it was that started changing the culture, when do you think, what was the turning point where they realized we can't keep on going on like this? We need to change our style of football, we need to change the way we play, the way we think. Do you think there was like a specific event, I don't know, the 2010 World Cup, for example, when the golden generation miserably failed to deliver on expectations? Was there like a turning point for you?
Yeah, it probably was around the golden generation time where, we were so set on 4-4-2 formations, 2 strikers, 4 midfielders, that's the way football is, whereas the rest of the world we're looking at 1 striker, 5 midfielders, winning the midfield battle, dominating games, and we all struggle against those sort of teams.
Right,
with 2 midfielders.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was probably the changing point where they start questioning their own philosophy, questioning the way that we play football. Because even back in the days, we didn't have many foreign players in the Premier League. Talking about the Shearer era, where it was very much English players in the Premier League. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then more foreign players started coming in, influencing the game, and then more foreign coaches started coming in, influencing the game. I think that's where shift is sort of changed. Pep Guardiola has sort of been the forefront of that shift.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So with that one, it was still a bit too close, too central. So that the defender would probably get that.
Yeah.
You want to take it a bit more outside.
Like this?
No, the actual touch should go a bit wider.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. That was good.
No.
Yeah. Nice. That was a challenging one. Nice. Yeah. You got under. Nice with that one. Nice. Very good touch.
It's very sharp. No,
how football's played.
obviously that brings a lot of positives because players in every position are much more comfortable on the ball now.
Yeah.
Everyone can play out, including the goalkeeper, the centre backs now.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's huge positives, but would you say there's something taken away from football, like the individual aspect, the creative aspect as well?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's, you don't see players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldinho. These players don't really exist anymore. I mean, Vinicius. Ozil. Yeah, there's Vinicius, but there's not many other players like Vinicius right now that are playing samba football. You know, skilling through players and scoring.
Yeah.
You know, it's more 1-2s. It's about
Results driven.
It's results driven. You know, you see the way Arsenal play. You know, set pieces are a big part of what they do. They have specific movements that you can see, like Saka will always receive the ball on the inside, driving in at the fullback rather than receiving the ball out wide and then going one-on-one at his fullback.
Yeah.
Those sorts of days are gone now.
Does it take away some of the joy from football, in your opinion?
It does, but it's a results-driven business, isn't it?
There's so much money in it now.
Yeah, you can understand why teams are going towards, you know, patterns of play everywhere.
Yeah,
you know,
it makes sense.
Defending in certain ways, whether that's pressing high, whether that's sitting deep.
Right.
You know, everything is about results now.
Results and numbers
is under
now.
scrutiny.
Yeah. And today we were practicing specifically target man play with your back to goal, holding people off, keeping the ball with someone behind you. How many really, really solid, world-class target men do you see in modern day football now? Can you count them?
Ireland.
Yeah, he can play
Lewandowski.
target man. Yeah. Back in the day, you had target men specialists like Emil Heskey, Drogba. Yeah. So what about those? Do you see any of those anymore?
You see them, but they're not really world class anymore.
They're not world class.
You've got the Matetas.
Yeah.
You've got the. I mean, Havertz is sort of a bit of a hybrid one now. He's tall, but you wouldn't say he's
not a target man at all.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
Most forwards.
So they're mostly false number 9s now, aren't they?
Well, they're complete forwards now. You've got Watkins, you've got Isak. These aren't target men, but they can do that and they can go in behind. They've got like an all-round play to them. You've got to be good off the ball as well as on the ball. In possession, out of possession. Like, Watkins is so good at pressing, and the defensive side of the game is just as important as his attacking side of the game.
Because he's got the pace to get in behind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's close. Like, I think Unai Emery loves him because he closes defenders down. He presses high, it sets the tempo for the rest of the teams to press high, win the ball back.
Right.
I think that's what coaches are now starting to value even more than just what they can do in possession for the team.
Right.
So yeah, the game's just changed a lot now. Like forwards aren't the same as what they used to do.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because I think there's so many professional footballers from just 10 years ago that played at a very high level that really probably couldn't survive in the modern day game now, right?
Yeah.
Like there were so many wing backs that basically all they could do was boot it long or play a simple pass forward, right, and make an overlapping run, the Gary Nevilles you could say, but they probably wouldn't last in the modern game, would they? Because fullbacks now have to be able to come into midfield as well.
Yeah, they have to be comfortable receiving the ball in midfielder situations.
Yeah.
They've also got to be comfortable inverting runs, outverting runs.
Exactly. They've got to be better all-round footballers now, don't they? Fullbacks, you know.
I mean, like Trent's basically.
Yeah.
They need to be like a Trent, ideally. Ben White has transferred from being a centre back to a fullback.
Yeah.
But he already played defensive midfield before he played Arsenal. So he is comfortable receiving the midfield.
Right.
He's comfortable overlapping past Saka. So yeah, every right back sort of needs to be like, unless you're playing, you know, towards the bottom end of the league where most of your focus is just on the defensive side of the game.
Yeah.
You're not really expected to go up down the wing and crosses.
Right.
So, yeah, but the best are expected to do that.
Right.
The ones playing in the Champions League are expected to do that.
Right.
Can't be the only time that we celebrate an international trophy.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because results-driven management, taking a man management approach, taking a strategy driven approach. Some people go for like the idealistic side of the game, playing football beautifully as it was intended to be played.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many different philosophies, right? And there's no way of saying which one is the right one, because at different stages in history, all different styles have succeeded, right?
Yeah.
You had the Jose Mourinho age where the ultimate pragmatist was the ultimate winner, which means he didn't have to be the best with people. He didn't have to be the nicest person. He didn't have to be the most beautiful in terms of football ideals, playing football beautifully how it should be played for the audiences. But that was the age where football got results, right? And in this age, it seems to very much be being a good man manager, making your players feel good, but also following like a system, a set system where everyone does their jobs, right? So
Well, yeah, you could say Ancelotti's that mould where he's more of a man manager.
he's much more of a man manager.
It's not really so much about his philosophy.
He doesn't micromanage, does he?
No, like he lets players express themselves. Whereas you've got the managers like Pep, where everything's very regimented, everything's structured, and if you don't conform to that, then you're not in the team.
Yeah.
So I think it's whichever manager has the best conviction about his ideals.
Yeah.
And gets the most out of their players will be the most successful.
Right.
So Ancelotti's done that in a very different way to Pep Guardiola. They're probably opposite ends of the scale.
They are.
But they're both the most successful managers this past year.
Since the series is very much about teaching, it's called Sensei Diaries, who do you think is the greatest teacher in football coaching history? And you know, teacher is a very all-encompassing word and concept, but like in your definition of what a great teacher is, who would you pick as your number one manager?
It's very difficult to say. Yeah, it's very difficult to say. Like we've just gone over, people have got success from different methods.
Yeah.
As much as I like Pep's philosophy and how he gets a lot out of his players, he also doesn't get a lot out of individual players as well, and he often has difficulties with certain big players of high profiles, like your Ibrahimovic, like your Eto's, like your Aguero's even.
And Sane, he had problems with Sane as well.
Yeah, there's a long list of players that he couldn't get the most out of.
Yeah, Toure.
Toure. Yeah. But then there's a long list of players that he has taken to new levels and got the best out of. But he's also had a lot of money to go with that as well. So he's always been at successful teams. He's not taken a team that's struggling and made them successful.
Yeah,
And
that's
if you look at Klopp, what he's done with Liverpool, they were 7th place. They had an awful team, and he completely changed their fortunes around. So I would see that achievement as bigger than any of Pep's achievements, really. A lot of people would have different ideals because they think that to have a consistent winning team is, a huge achievement in itself, which it is, and I don't discredit that. But in my eyes, taking a struggling team and transforming them, like what Arteta's trying to do with Arsenal now as well, is a bigger achievement than taking champions to being champions again.
Well, I completely agree with you on that, because I think a great teacher should be defined by what he can do with the most limited resources and limited tools.
Yeah.
If you're a great teacher, you should be able to take a person with the least natural ability and get the most out of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Pep Guardiola is a world-class legendary coach, but not necessarily a world-class legendary teacher, because there's a human element to teaching where you've really got to get invested in people, where you've really got to be fully invested in that single person's journey, no matter what their talent level is, and you've got to be able to grow and develop them. And I think Pep is very much more all business, all results, and he'll want to deal with the finished product, at least from a technical perspective. You know what I mean? He wants to buy someone who's already close to their completed form. And I think Klopp is different. So I agree with you. Klopp can take someone that is seen as a very average or slightly above average player, and then he can turn them into someone that the whole world wants, I think Klopp has done that so many different times.
So many players you can name, like Gini Wijnaldum, went from a fairly average player at Newcastle to becoming, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. When he was, in his prime, before he moved on.
Exactly.
Adam Lallana, James Milner, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
All of these are fairly average Premier League players.
Yeah.
But turn them into, you know, some of the best midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, so I think Klopp is a great shout for like greatest teacher in football, you could say, because he's got the hard approach and the soft approach.
Yeah,
he's obviously he's great at explaining things, but he's also got the passion as well.
Yeah.
He's obviously got the
charisma.
He's got the charisma.
Passion.
He's very steady under pressure and under chaos, but he's also not lacking in empathy as well for people. So it's quite interesting that Germans that are not traditionally known for their empathy, Klopp has turned out to be one of the best coaches in that area. I would agree with you. If Klopp is your choice, I wouldn't dispute that. You know, I think he contends with even the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger.
Yep,
I think
so.
he's in that company.
He competed with the best team that's ever been in the Premier League.
Exactly.
This Man City team.
Yeah.
With limited resources.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you can see Arsenal struggling to contend with them now.
Exactly.
You know, and he did it for 5-6 years with Liverpool.
Yeah.
So you've got to give props to that.
Yeah.
Of course, there was ups and downs. Some seasons they went down to fourth.
Yeah.
That just shows how difficult it is to compete with Man City.
Right.
They're always there because of the strength and depth that they've got.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
The amount of money that they've spent on to build such a squad.
Yeah.
Liverpool never had that.
Yeah.
So they're fringe players. If Van Dijk was injured, you know, you've got Joel Matip coming in.
Yeah.
That's a big step down.
Got it. Yeah. Final topic is because like a lot of our students and viewers are Japanese. Japanese football has failed to go past the last round of 16 in the World Cup. They've never done it before. They've never reached the quarterfinals. When they've clearly got the quality, because we've seen them smash Germany, we've seen them beat Spain. They're good in possession. They're very organised. They're technical.
Yeah.
Every Japanese player is good on the ball.
Yeah.
So Blue Lock, obviously, the anime and manga Blue Lock has a theory on what that is. They're lacking a world-class striker, but like, what would your opinion be on Japan's final missing ingredient?
I think it's mentality, and it's like that belief that they can beat these teams because they have shown it, and it's something that England went through as well, where they just couldn't get over that hurdle of seeing themselves as one of the favourites in the tournament, that they can actually go further. And now you can see with this England team, because the past couple of tournaments has given them that belief, it's instilled in them now, and they do believe it.
They believe they belong there now, right? In the last 4, in the last 2.
Yeah, and it's a major disappointment if they don't get there. Whereas I think Japan still don't have that belief, that even though they do have, you know, they're definitely the best Asian team, I would say, you know, Japan and Korea, they can get to the quarterfinals. I mean, I think it was 2 World Cups ago where they were 2-0 up against Belgium, and then they capitulated towards the end. A bit of pressure.
2-0 up, and then Fellaini came on, and then they lost 3-2, right?
They lost 3-2, and it was heartbreaking. But it just showed that they just didn't have that grit and determination to see a game out, to see themselves, you know, pushing their way through. So I think it's a mental block. I think it's a mentality aspect.
So you think too humble for their own good in many ways, yeah? Too modest for their own good in many ways. They don't have the arrogance to say like, we're better than you guys.
It is that ego.
It's the ego, right?
It's the ego. Like that's, you know, we belong here. We're going to see this game out. Impose ourselves on the team. They often are too imposed on by other teams because maybe a big player comes in and a Fellaini makes it physical, and then they start to whittle a little bit. Like Lukaku comes on and bullies them. De Bruyne, you know, with his aura can scare them, and there's not enough aura in this Japanese team right now.
So connected to this topic, Will, Korea is supposed to be a strong team in Asia, right?
Yeah.
How many times do you think they've won the Asian Cup since it's been founded like 70, 80 years ago?
Twice.
Once. They've won it once in their whole history, and it's we're going back to the topic of feeling inferior in your mind, not having that self-belief that you belong there or that you should be winning these things, that you're a favourite, right? Japan's had a lot of success in the Asian Cup compared to Korea, and I think Japan historically, obviously military-wise as well, dominated the region. They colonized a lot of countries. They colonized Korea as well. They colonized China, Philippines, a lot of these countries, right? And I think Korea still has that chip on their shoulder when they play against Japan in these tournaments, which is why they always lose to Japan in the Asian Cup. Whenever they come up against Japan in the Asian Cup, they always lose. You know, be it by penalties, be it by open play, they always lose because they have that chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
But ironically, because Korea's made it to the semi-finals of the World Cup before, when they come up against any team, be it Brazil, Portugal, Germany, Korea somehow always has that belief that they can win. Because they did it in 2002.
Yeah.
But when it's Asia, because it's Japan there that they have that history with and they have that chip on their shoulder, they can't beat Japan when they can beat the Spains and the Germanys and the Portugals and the Italys. Isn't that interesting, you know?
It is interesting.
So psychology's so massive in football,
It's a big
isn't it?
thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I did hear that England actually hired a sports psychologist to help those players overcome that initially when Southgate was there.
Right.
And it must have worked.
It must have worked, yeah.
To help them overcome that block.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you think was missing in the end then when it came to the two finals that England got to in the Euros? Was it just strategy?
I think it was, belief from the manager.
Yeah.
He just went negative and started going defensive when the team was up.
Yeah. When the momentum was with England, right?
Yeah.
Both times.
Both times, gonna goal up and then retreat back. And can't do that against the best teams in the world because they sense blood.
It's a very English way to lose, isn't it? It's a very English way to lose. Like you get the advantage, and then your gloves go up and you sit back against the ropes. It's a very English thing to do.
Which I hope Tuchel will be able to overcome because he's shown that he can get teams over the line against more the favourite opponents if they're the underdogs. You saw Chelsea beating Man City.
Yeah.
We saw with PSG getting to the final of the Champions League. People didn't expect them to get there.
But they didn't win, did they?
They didn't win.
Yeah.
No, that was a big block in itself for PSG because they've never won the Champions League either.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can do that.
Good stuff. Well, that was a good conversation, a good session, Will. Thank you. I'll try and implement some of those target man habits in my next game.
Which one do you think was useful?
The most useful tip for me is that if the ball is under the sole of your foot, it's much harder for the defender to just poke their toe through and catch the ball.
Yeah.
I think that was also when they creep around this side and overcommit to that, you can just swiftly turn the other way. I think that was a really helpful tip. And also, apart from that, the other tip was, you can't run through the middle. It's got to be around this side. So just taking a moment to set and then seeing which way your teammate's going to run and then set it off at a nice pace for them. I think that's really useful for any type of in-game situation. So yeah, I'll definitely try and implement those in my future kickabouts. Yeah, thanks man. I appreciate it. Nice one. Okay, Will, so tell us a little bit about your football background then.
So I've been playing football since I was a young kid, maybe about 10 years old.
Yeah.
Played for a lot of youth teams. I then had a trial at Luton. Didn't work out, and that's when I sort of stopped playing football, but then looked into coaching. So I've done little bits of coaching here and there. I work in sales now, so I've left the coaching behind now, but it's still a passion of mine,
Yeah, and you're a very good teacher in football. You explain it in a way that anybody could understand, and I think most important thing is that you're able to demonstrate it physically as well. Like you're able to show how it's done, and then explain it, and I think that's massive as a coach.
Yeah.
So, is it something that you want to do in a small capacity for like the rest of your life?
Potentially.
Yeah.
If the right opportunity comes up, I do enjoy coaching.
Yeah.
And I can see myself doing that in the future.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what the future holds. Right now, I'm in sales, and I've got a good career in that respect. But coaching might be an avenue I want to go down.
It's something you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
If I could make a career out of it, it would be probably more enjoyable than what I'm doing now in sales.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Never say never.
Football content is thriving, and the only thing is they're very committed to it, aren't they? They pump it out very, very consistently. and it's not something that you can just do as like a light side gig, right, and hope to see results from.
No. Yeah. I think in terms of football content, the main people that are doing it are, you know, pretty they're celebrities in a way. Like,
Exactly.
And they're working with football players to pump out this football content.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of just regular people pumping out, you know,
Yeah.
successful football content.
No.
Yeah, in that regard, it's difficult to make a career out of football content, I think.
It's true. I think you could do it though.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do think so. Like if you learn the video editing style and if you had the right equipment and setup, like let's just say you aim to make 3 or 4 episodes of something, and if it came out nicely, you had a system that you could do it with minimal effort, efficiently, I think you could make it work. But yeah, it's a big commitment.
It's a big commitment, yeah. But I think you've got to have something very unique for it to be appealing to people. True. You can't just do some basic drills and expect people to be interested in that.
Yeah.
A lot of football content now is like game shows, it's like trivia.
Yeah.
Where the viewers can actually get involved in it, so that's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
Just watching like tutorials or just some drills,
Yeah.
I think it's quite difficult for people to really have an interest and keep watching videos and things like that.
Exactly.
So if you've got a very unique idea of how to make it interactive for people, I think it can be successful.
Right.
So,
Why don't we call it the Aso Puck?
yeah, so
How to become a golden boot striker in 7 days. 7 days.
my own
7 days, 7 steps. The Aso Puck. All-encompassing package on how to become a golden boot winner in no time.
If only it was that easy.
You see the crack I made in this chair? Only the legs of a golden boot winner can make a crack like that.
I felt so guilty.
Don't worry about it. It's an honor. Woi.
Chasing status. K.A. I was raised in the city. Against the odds. It's on. I will not lose. Look, I was raised in a city with no heart, where there's no heart. Stepping when it comes to me getting that no flaws. I'm a hustler, I'm a hustler. Raised on a battlefield, born as a sufferer. Before I had a deal, I was still stacking bills. Get punked, sell food to the customers. Now I get love crews in the back of the S-Class. Them can't move like that, you know. I come from where man were done there for hardly nothing. You can see it in the news, I'm hardly fronting. Got kids with guns in the heart of London. Bulletproof vests like 100. That's no actors and actresses. Gully round here, niggas stashing them straps and mattresses. Soon as you exit stand stage, you might see who is getting in trouble. That's how it's always been. How can you win? How can you win? How can you win? How can you win? Look, I was raised in a city when they was out blazing a Philly. I was on the 5 bus chasing the titties. The back of the class, I'm on bars with a stiffy. Tanisha, Tessa, Leslie, and Richie. Look, it's a Coco world. Gangsters living in a po-po world. So I'm in Coco with a go-go girl. Escaping reality, I know so well. But when you're a kid, you don't know no better. Boys find trouble trying to find that cheddar. Money breeds envy, might get set up. When pockets get empty, niggas get jealous. Killer done told them, boy, people fed up. And they didn't water, stretching that ketchup from south of the border. Northwest to east, there's got around here, gotta see it to believe it. Who is getting in trouble? That's how it's always been. How can you win? How can you win? How can you win? How can you win? Let me tell you something. Look, maybe just because I'm a Londoner that I love London town, but London's foul. London's a merry-go-round, a cycle of life full of ups and downs. Cause up till now, we ain't never won with the odds against us. The million to one, see the winter's messy, but it gets silly.